In every street like this, there is one house that feels a little too quiet. Not empty.
From the outside, the house looked sealed. Windows shut, locks engaged, everything in its place. Hallways remember direction. They remember which way the night was moving when the house went quiet.
But safety depends on knowing where the edges are. And as he looked at the space beneath his bed,
He had never looked directly into that space for long. Nobody does. We tell ourselves it's empty because it has to be.
From under the bed, the room looked different. Cropped, partial, unfinished. And for a moment,
He told himself he was only checking, just making sure, just proving to his own mind there was nothing there. And in that steady, unblinking darkness, he had the sudden, cold realization that he wasn't the first one tonight to look out from under this bed.
He told himself it was just a box, just a shadow, just the tricks a tired brain plays.
He waited for it to vanish the way hallucinations do when you stare straight at them. It didn't. Instead,
He told himself that if there really was something under there, it would move, it would lunge, it would crawl, it would do anything but stay still. He wasn't trying to touch anything. That was what he kept telling himself. He was just proving there was nothing there to feel.
he expected the floor. He expected empty space and dust and the cool feel of wood.
He could have pulled away. That's what he would tell himself later, that there was still time, that it was still his choice. But the thing about contact is simple.
He had always believed that fear meant running. A jolt, a scream, a door slammed hard enough to prove you were still in charge.
He didn't feel dragged. He didn't feel threatened. What he felt was recognition, like the night had been waiting for him. He had always imagined that if something lived under his bed, it would be wild, clawed, desperate.
He had always thought of the bed as a border. But as the pressure matched him, the idea of a border stopped making sense.
He had always imagined the thing under the bed as separate, an intruder, a stranger, something that didn't belong to his life.
he had always believed the boundary of his body was simple. Skin, bone, the outline he saw in...
He thought he would know the moment when things went too far. Some clear line he could point to late and say, that was it.
Spritz. He had always pictured fear as something loud, the crash of a door, the sudden rush of footsteps in the dark. He had spent years believing he slept alone, that beds were just furniture, and darkness was just what happened when the lights went out. He had always thought the scariest part would be seeing it, the moment when something crawled out of the dark and showed itself.
Houses don't jump and beds don't shout. They change the way oceans do, by inches you don't notice until the shoreline has moved.
He had always imagined the dark under the bed as a place you could back away from, a gap, a mistake in the room. He had always thought of under the bed as a hiding place, a crawl space, a leftover inch of architecture. He had always imagined the moment of no return would be loud, a snap, a scream, a slam in the dark. He used to think there was a line between the place you sleep and the place you're afraid of. Atop, there are moments you don't feel yourself crossing because you were already standing on the other side.
He understood the mistake. The house wasn't around him. It was through him. And nothing inside it was on the other side anymore. He had always imagined fear as something that chased you, something you could outrun or outlock or...
On the surface, the bed looked exactly as it had every other night. Blanket, pillow, the ordinary shape of sleep.
But the longer he listened, the clearer it became that nothing was approaching him at all.
He kept waiting for the moment the bed would reject what was happening, for the jolt, the shout, the violent proof that something was wrong.
Beds remember. They learn the shapes that stay the longest, the weight that returns night after night. Loneliness is loud when you're fighting it, when you keep proving to yourself that no one is there.
he had always believed intimacy came from knowing who was beside you. Names, faces.
He used to think the danger was underneath, that there was an above where you were safe and a below where things waited for you. He had spent the whole night convinced that something was approaching him, closing in inch by inch.
He used to think the fear lived in the spaces, the gap under the...
He used to think closeness meant answers, seeing the thing, naming it, proving what it was.
He had spent so long dividing the world into parts, inside and outside, above and below.
There wasn't a moment when one of them vanished. No gasp, no struggle, no proof he could point at later. He had always imagined there would be evidence, some line he could look back at and say, "That's when it happened. That's where I crossed over."
But as the blanket rose and fell over one single body that used to be two,
He used to think he'd know the moment it took him, that there would be a change he could describe, a before and after.
And as the pillow settled into one final hollow and the blanket lifted over a single breath, the house didn't have anything left to reveal.
Houses never tell you the last page. They just stop turning them.
He kept waiting for the door, for the sound of it opening, for proof that whatever he feared was on the other side.
Fear always tells you to watch the edges, the doors, the windows, the cracks where something might enter.
he used to think the danger lived underneath the bed, that there was a clear line between where you slept and where the dark began.
Houses don't lift things into the attic or drag them into the basement. They absorb them into the floors, the walls, the ceilings. From the outside, it was just another quiet house on just another quiet street.
Whole neighborhoods can sleep through it. Whole blocks of families dreaming in identical rooms. From the outside, nothing begged for attention. No flash of movement, no sound to break the quiet.
Windows are supposed to separate inside from outside, to keep the world in its place. But standing there...
Bedrooms are supposed to hold sleep, dreams, the forgettable hours between days. But some rooms learn something else.
The closer you looked, the less it felt like someone lying in a bed, and the more it felt like the bed had closed around something it had been waiting for. There's a point where fear stops reaching outward and starts turning inward, folding in on itself until it becomes something else entirely.
Some endings aren't loud. They don't leave marks on walls or call anyone for help.
People think fear is about what might come through the door, or what could be hiding under the bed.
Nothing in the room argued with it. Not the glass, not the lamp, not the air.
People always imagine something waiting under the bed, something separate from them, something you can escape by climbing beneath the covers. There's a moment when the inside of a house stops feeling like rooms connected by doors and starts feeling like one single space with one single intention. Doors are supposed to mean something. Privacy, escape, a line you can cross if you need to. Down the hallway, it was easy to pretend the house was the same. Just walls, pictures, a door at the end. Some doors don't have to open again. They just stay where they are, and the rest of the house slowly backs away from them.
Downstairs, the house looked exactly the way a house is supposed to look. Quiet, ordinary.
Stairs are meant to carry you somewhere, up to bedrooms, down to kitchens, back and forth through ordinary life.
Every scuff in the carpet, every tilt of every frame,
People think doors are choices. Turn the knob, walk away, decide.
Most people look under the door for light, a sign that someone's awake. But here, from the far end of the hall, it became obvious that the rest of the upstairs wasn't unfinished. It was unnecessary. From above, the house didn't look divided into rooms and hallways anymore. It looked like ribs around a single heart. From the yard, it looked like any other house settling into the end of a long day. Lights off, neighbors asleep, night doing what night always does.
From the street, it was the kind of house you'd drive past without remembering. Porch, windows, a light.
On a map, it was just another lot number. On a street, just another roof line. Another bedroom light someone forgot to turn off.
From up here, every house looks small. Every window, just another light someone forgot to turn on.
The higher you go, the smaller the stories look. Streets turning into lines.
Morning always comes, whether anything deserved it or not. Lights turn off, alarms go off, the world remembers what it's supposed to do.
Towns have a way of pretending nothing ever happened. The lights change. The papers arrive. Morning does its job.
Morning tried its best. Water on the lawns, light on the pavement. By morning, the house looked like every other house again. Driveway damp with dew. The room had already decided its story while the rest of the house slept. The lamp never turned itself off. The book never closed.
The house was awake. The hallway had already joined the day, light stretching down it like a reminder.
From the doorway, it could have been sleep. From across the room, it could have been rest. But up close, the
Stillness only feels peaceful when you expect it to end. Up close, the blank. You don't need to see a face to understand a moment. The pillow had already learned the weight of it.
The details were small, but they agreed with each other. The unfinished glass. On the other side of the door, the day had already begun.
The hallway had already chosen daylight. It smelled like coffee and sounded like dishes and morning voices.
Some doors don't have to slam to be loud. This one just waited. The house went on making.
There are moments when a house decides for you. The handle never turned. The first light anyone noticed wasn't the sun through the curtains. It was this. Some rooms are seen from the wrong place. Under the bed, the truth had a different weight. No breathing reached this low.
The room had already done the hardest part, accepting the shape it was going to keep.
The last light to fall asleep is the one that isn't going.
Time didn't stop for the house. Morning moved through the kitchen.
The last thing they touched wasn't the phone, or the light, or even the door. It was this page. The water was poured for someone who never finished being thirsty.
Rooms don't grieve, they adjust. They learn the new shape of the air, the new rules about which objects will be touched and which ones won't.
The day kept insisting from the other side of the glass. School buses, engines, wind.
Mirrors don't lie, but they don't warn you. They sift the moon either.
The dresser still remembered the morning that was supposed to happen. Clothes set aside, keys waiting.
The ceiling always knows first. It watches the room from above while everything else keeps pretending.
The house had plenty of places to be this morning. Kitchen, living room, anywhere but here. Stairs are honest. They remember which direction a house was moving. These steps knew the difference between going.
From above, it looked like any other morning. Up close, the window didn't explain anything. It only confirmed that the room was still lit, still
The hallway had stopped right here for hours, like a sentence that refused to choose its last word. The handle didn't shake. It didn't beg for attention. It moved the way a thought moves, small. Light doesn't lie. It bends when something stands in it. For a second, the glow under the door
Whatever was inside had moved closer. You could feel it in the way the light changed, in the way the door seemed to listen back.
He almost touched the handle, almost chose. But the door didn't need him to.
The decision arrived quietly. No bang, no shout. Just metal remembering what it was built to do.